Welcome to the Spaghetti Junction Boys podcast, coming to you from beautiful Atlanta, Georgia. As always, I'm your host, William Hildebrand, joined by the incomparable Doc Jacobson. We can't get this show started without thanking our friends at Rosati's in Buckhead, the number one place to watch all the football, all the basketball, maybe The Bachelor. I don't know. Just ask them to turn it on. We'll see. I mean, Doc, do you know? I don't know. We'll figure it out, but they're good people at Rosati's in Buckhead. They have over 40 big screen TVs. They have over 100 beers on tap. The best wings in Atlanta, the best pizza in Atlanta, the best bartenders in Atlanta, and most importantly, the coldest beer in Atlanta. Support the people who support us. Support Rosati's in Buckhead. Doc, you know I love going down a rabbit hole. We talked about this the other week when it comes to Wikipedia, where I'm looking up Tom Selleck, and all of a sudden I'm seeing Timmy Chang's stats from his years at the University of Hawaii. But let's bring it back to the mainland for this, because I've been going down an absolute titan of a rabbit hole with the insanity that is the coaching searches in college football. So, believe it or not, Florida, which is where mayhem takes up residence almost year-round, the University of Florida had the most calm coaching search. They fired Dan Mullen after he basically was just tempting them to fire him. He's like, yeah, I don't recruit during the year. What are you going to do? Oh, should I go get blown out by South Carolina? Yeah, I can do that. How about I lose to Mizzou? Who cares? What are you going to do? Fire me? Do it. And they did. And they did it so they could get Billy Napier. They get him. That search was done. Very, very easy. LSU, it seemed like it was your typical kind of crazy LSU like we saw after the Les Miles into Ed Orgeron thing. But then they got Brian Kelly. USC goes and scoops Lincoln Riley from Oklahoma. It's just been an absolute zoo. And I love 24/7 is fantastic for having, if you get your access to one message board, then you have access to all the message boards. No free reads. But I've been looking at so many fan bases message boards. One, because I love the meltdown. Shout out message board geniuses on Twitter. Give them a follow. Good friends of the program. But seeing Oklahoma fans, and not only seeing Oklahoma fans, but also seeing the stories that come out about these things. And I know you love to see Oklahoma melt as much as anybody. But one of their coaches, Roy Manning, he's still at Oklahoma, part of Lincoln Riley's staff, and he gets busted for recruiting for USC in an interview from a recruit. A 5-star corner said that he was down to Alabama and USC because of Coach Manning, who's a dude who's at Oklahoma. And so that comes out and people are like, what? This Manning cat is the reason you're going to USC as a coach at Oklahoma? Oh. And so that's how you find out this dude's not doing his job for the school that's paying him, which is just brutal.
Yeah, you've never, worked a job and, kind of mailed it in a little bit and started working on your other job? Come on now. Bosses, no bosses listening.
No, I don't work for another job, especially in that capacity where it's like, he's using company money to see this kid or a company phone to talk to this kid. He's like, hey, come to USC. Meanwhile, he's in the land of Quick Trip. And you see the Notre Dame stuff isn't much better. You saw the text from Brian Kelly go out, and he says, hey, see you at 7 a.m. If that was me and I was a player there, like, oh, what are you going to do, make me run if I don't go? No, go to hell. I'm not coming to this stupid meeting. Are you serious? Like, could you imagine if you're in a work situation and your boss texts you, hey, I'm leaving for another company, but come to the office at 7 a.m. so we can talk about it? No. Are you kidding me? If you're currently my boss, yeah, I'll talk to you at 7 a.m. What are you going to do? You're leaving. And what's worse is so Brian Kelly's entire staff just stayed behind. And you usually see when coaches move, yeah, they'll have new hires on the staff because, hey, we want recruiting in this area, like guys who know the area, yada, yada, yada. But no one went with them. No one. Usually you bring someone with you on the plane. All he brought were those horrible shoes. What are they called? Like Doc Martens.
Doc Martens, great brand.
Yeah.
Shout out Doc Martens. Well, I think it comes from too, like, I think through this whole experience with Mr. Kelly, Brian Kelly, we've just realized that he's a very insincere human. I mean, to go from the text message saying like, "Hey, sorry, social media blew up my transfer to USC," and then going into a 7 a.m. meeting to, tell the guys he loves them and everything, for a 4-minute talk, be like, "Hey, sorry, like, whoop, sorry, bud, like, I'm out later." Like, the guy's just insincere, kind of an asshole. Let's be honest.
All you need to say is, "You see that check? You saw the tweets about me leaving. Did you see how much I'm leaving for? If y'all ever need a ride on a fan boat, come and see your boy, old Coach Kelly, because I'm gonna have a big old fan boat." That's one of my absolute favorite things, is thinking about the cultural differences he's about to encounter. There are some unique states out there. Hawaii's unlike any other. Alaska's unlike any other.
Iowa's unlike any other.
Iowa's like so many states. If you ask someone from the Northeast, name one cultural difference between Iowa, Indiana, South Dakota, North Dakota, Nebraska, Wyoming, they'd be like, Mount Rushmore's in one of those. It's the same thing. If you ask, like, if you're in the South, you know the difference between Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Georgia. If you ask someone from LA, "Hey, what's the difference between Arkansas and Alabama?" though, one's good at football. I'm pretty sure of that. But Louisiana is another state that's unlike any other. One, because they speak their own damn kind of English. Oh my God. If you ever have to stop for directions, thank God for Waze and Google Maps and Apple Maps. No free ads. But if you go into that damn state and you need directions, you're never finding where you need to go. Left down there. Once you see the alligator, we call him Big Joe. He's got one eye. You take it right down there. And you have a guy from Massachusetts in Brian Kelly, who spends his coaching career in the Midwest, and then he goes to Notre Dame, where we talked about on the podcast a couple months ago, they lost a recruit, Isaiah McKenzie, joystick, because when he goes on campus for his official visit, they say, "Oh, people here don't have sex," which, spoiler alert to that coach. I'm going to go out on a limb and say Notre Dame's not just slammed with virgins. I mean, hate to burst your bubble there, Pops, but you go to Notre Dame, and you got players who are just like, "Yeah, I'm majoring in economics and make sure I got to go to mass today." And then you go down to the bayou. Your boosters are going to be a little different down there, because at Notre Dame, it's just like, "Hey, I got this Polish kid from Greenwood, Indiana. He hits really hard, and he's got a ton of might, and he works hard." And then you just go down there, and boosters like, "You'll win a national title. Oh, I'm going to hang you up by your shoes and drag it along the swamp." You're like, what? What was that? I saw someone tweet out a picture of Brian Kelly smiling. It says, "Yes, I will have one poor boy sandwich, please."
That's a good one. I got to imagine, like, recruiting is going to be insanely difficult for him, too. Like, LSU only recruits from the state of Louisiana, and I'm assuming mostly from the southern part, where there's a lot of Creole talk, like we're saying here. And I just imagine him, he's got to be sitting there, like, a Google eyeglass eyes on, just looking for translations of what's being said to him. He's not going to have any idea what's going on. You go take care of my little boy? You make sure you go all classes. Go make sure get big and strong. What did you just say?
We had a kid in high school who transferred over from France, and you just see him in the hallways, like, didn't speak the language very well, and just seemed confused by, like, American schools, American culture, about everything. Everything looked new and a little bit upsetting and confusing to him as he walked around the hallways. And I imagine that's Brian Kelly at all times right now in Louisiana. Like, the biggest culture shock of culture shock. And what's funny is their baseball coach, who just retired, Paul Maneri, he came to LSU by way of Notre Dame. But man, the boosters, the food, My God, he's going to get out there in July and be like, what did I do? If there's one thing I know about people from the Northeast, and this guy went from the Northeast to the Midwest, they cannot handle humidity. This guy's up in South Bend, Indiana going, oh, golly jeepers, it's a scorcher out here. What are we, in the mid-80s? Wait till you can take a bite out of the air, Brian Kelly. Wait till you come into the summer in South Louisiana and someone says, hey, you want to go out for lunch? You go, oh, no, thank you. I had a couple bites of air earlier, and I'm full.
Well, yeah, I have the perfect example of this. Atlanta, not nearly as humid as, the Bayou, so even a bigger escalation of this. But I went to a family reunion in Iowa a couple years ago. My dad and my uncle flew out, and they live in the West Coast, out in the desert lands, where it's just a hot, dry heat out there. And they get to Iowa, like, gosh, I can't breathe here. Like, it's just super humid. I look at them, I go, this is the first time I've been able to breathe in 2 months. That's July.
I'm just so fascinated by what he's going to do when they start playing neck. When he hears neck for the first time, oh, what did they say? What did they say? Oh my.
These aren't good Christians. What's going on?
One of the fascinating things about recruiting in the Midwest Dans. I don't want to toot my own horn, but I'm on 3 consecutive 3-2 slates. So I'll kick it off for us, Doc. Get hot, stay hot. So I'm gonna do a little dipsy do on you right here. All right. I'm gonna take an over and an under. The over I'm taking this weekend: Pittsburgh and Wake Forest over 71.5. Wake Forest can't stop a nosebleed, but they can score. Hartman is electric. And Dave Clawson, he just got a big extension. Love what they can do on offense. Pitt, I'm a card-carrying picket fence member. I love Kenny Pickett. Kenny Pickett reminds me of Justin Herbert. Save this clip, throw shade at me later when he's horrible. Or save this clip and, hey, that guy with the mustache, he's a genius. So take the over 71.5 here. It's going to be points in front of 20,000 people in Charlotte. Go to Bank of America Stadium, then go to your Bank of America. You're going to have a lot more money in there after you take this big. Next one, I'm going the under 50. I know it sounds weird going over 71.5, going under 50, but under 50 in the South Dakota State-Utah State game. South Dakota State's punter should win the Heisman Trophy. He's not going to win the Heisman Trophy. He's going to win the SJB Player of the Year Trophy, first inaugural. Spoiler alert. We'll do the award show later on. But under 50 in this game, SDSU, Brady Hoke, great defense. They've had a great year, 11-1. I really, really like this staying low. We won that by the skin of our teeth last week with Boise State, San Diego State. But I really, really like this. They have a great defense. They love to slow the ball down. They love to play field position. Under 50, lock.
Good picks, Mr. Hildebrand. I myself went 4-1 last week, so I'm riding a little high. I like it. Here is what I'm starting us off with. Cardinals at Bears. I've been saying it all year. Kyler's coming back this week. Cardinals are still the best team in the NFL. The only team that has a semi-better record than them, because they've kind of played one more game, is the Packers. The Packers are 9-3, and the Cardinals are 9-2. So, technically better win percentage if we want to get into it. Anyways, the reason I like the Cardinals this week, last 5 games, they are 3-2. Doesn't sound great, but their 2 losses were to the Packers on Thursday night and to a newly ignited Cam Newton Panthers, where they got blown out. That Cam Newton game, they did not have Kyler Murray either. So kind of a wash on that loss as far as I'm concerned. I'm taking Cardinals -7.5. Hammer it. The Bears suck. What are they going to do on offense? We've realized they can't play defense anymore. Yeah, it's going to be cold. Yeah, it's in Chicago. Yeah, they got to travel from Arizona. Doesn't matter. Kyler's coming back this week. D-Hop's coming back this week. They're going to put up 45 easy. There's no way the Bears put up 35 points. Excuse me. Pick number 2. We've got a showdown, an AFC South showdown down in Texas, Houston, Texas. Taking Colts -10 at the Texans. We all know how I feel about the Texans over last year's Gamblin Dans and into this year. Still a bad team. Colts are looking good. Carson Wentz kind of reinvigorated himself in the last couple of weeks. He's looking good, dishing the ball out there, and that Jonathan Taylor kid, man, he's got 10 touchdowns in 2 games. The kid's a beast. Anyways, they're also 3-2 in the last 5 games. Their losses to the Titans at home and to the Bucks. So 2 solid losses. No glaring red flags in those losses. So pick number 1, Cardinals -7.5. Pick number 2, Colts -10.
I'm going to follow you on Cardinals -7.5. With Kyler back, likely Hopkins back as well. And that's still, you saw Colt McCoy was getting the ball moving for them. I think that's less on Colt McCoy, more on that offense, whether it's Kingsbury, whether it's the other skill guys, of course, A.J. Green, Christian Kirk.
James Conner. James Conner's playing well, too.
James Conner. So I really like this Cardinals team, and I really hate the Bears. Not like I have something against the Bears. I don't root against the Bears, but God, I hate watching the Bears play football. I really do. For some reason, the last decade, the Bears, the 49ers, the Washington football team, I can't watch any of those 3. They're all typically just gut-wrenching on offense, this Bears team in particular. I don't care if it's Fields or if it's Dalton or if it's Foles back there. I don't care if it's Montgomery. I don't care if it's Khalil Herbert. I don't care. The Bears cannot score. They are just god awful to watch. So give me minus 7.5. I'd probably take this at minus 13.5. So if you want to tease this, take the Cardinals. Next one, I'm betting the Lions. Now, I hate when my big brain comes out and I start overthinking things. Where I go, I don't know, the Jets could cover here, and then I kick myself on Monday, like, why did I bet on the Jets? The Lions have not won a football game. They did tie one, so they do have that sister kiss on their record. But the Lions have been playing really hard for Dan Campbell. They're fresh off a Thanksgiving game, so they got a couple extra days rest on the Vikings. The Vikings had, a grit their teeth coming down to the wire game on Sunday against the 49ers. But the Vikings play every game close. The Vikings could play the high school down the street and need a field goal to win at the end of regulation. Or the Vikings could play the 85 Bears in a time machine, and that game would go down to a field goal. I don't care who the Vikings play, it's going to be close. I think they've had 2 games this year decided by more than 6 points or something like that. The Vikings play close games. The Lions kept it close with them last time. The Lions have this at home. They have the extra rest. They're playing hard for Campbell. I know they don't really have anything to play for. Give me the Lions plus a touchdown. What do you say?
I was at that game in Minnesota.
I say, what do you say after taking the Lions? Take the Lions.
Yeah, what do you say? Huh? Yeah, just throw it in the air. Throw your money in the air. See what happens. I was at that game where the Vikings beat the Lions in the last second field goal. It was a fun game. Good atmosphere. Good stadium. Pick number 3 we've got here. Bengals hosting the Los Angeles Chargers. I'm liking the Bengals here, guys. I'm sold on Joe Burrow. I'm sold on Jamari Chase. They're good tandem. They can throw the ball. Mixon's coming into form. He was running like a madman last weekend. Other reasons I like them, they're also 3-2 in their last 5 games. Suspect loss to the Jets, and then a kind of an ass kicking by the Browns. But the Browns could show up and kick anybody's ass as far as I'm concerned. But their wins were a smacking of the Raiders, a smacking of the Steelers, who are a good team, and also a smacking of the Ravens in the last 5. So they're a good team. I think they're starting to level out. There's not the roller coaster ride of good weeks, bad weeks. I think they're starting to level out on an upward trend of always playing good football. I think the Chargers keep it close, but I think 3. I would love it at 2.5. Don't get me wrong. I mean, a field goal game would be great, but at 3, I still feel confident. I think it's be a 4-point game with a sneaky mixed extra point by the Chargers is what I'm going with there. Pick number. Hey, there's been a lot of missed kicks this year. It's been the year of missed kicks.
There's a difference between giving gambling picks and acting like you're psychic Cleo from the 2 a.m. infomercials.
No, they call me Nostradamus, dude. Nostradakis.
Yeah, I was going to say you missed a really golden opportunity there. Sorry. Your next pick, Nostradamus.
Pick number 4. We've got 49ers at Seahawks. Sneaky team here, the 49ers. 4-1 in their last 5 games with their only loss to the Cardinals. I know I'm bringing up last 5 a lot, but I think that's a good trend to follow when you're trying to make NFL picks. Just see how they're playing in the last 5 games. Taking the 49ers here, minus 3.5. Seahawks are not playing well. They're coming off a tough loss Monday night to the Washington football team in just a drag them out, knock them out game. Their offense is struggling. Their running game is struggling. I like the 49ers with that kind of just air raid offense that they're getting into. Jimmy G's coming into form. They're just really kind of the only thing that does suck is Debo's kind of doubtful for the weekend, but I think they can get past that. I think they'll be fine. Hit Ayuk a lot and just really start tearing it up. So 49ers minus 3.5.
All right. This whammy, now Doc and I have had talks about don't take your team in Gamblin Dans. Definitely don't take them for the whammy. Doc has done very well in abiding by these unofficial rules. Not taking the clones, not taking the Vikings. I've done horribly. I was the one who brought up said rule and have done really, really horribly about following it. And I'm not going to change that this week. So give me the Dolphins minus 4. The Dolphins have won 4 in a row. Tua Tagovailoa has been one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL over the last month. Over his last 3 games, he has less incompletions than he has vowels in his name. I mean, given there's a lot of vowels in his full name, but less incompletions over his last 3 games. Chris Kaufman, 5 Reasons Sports with that one. The Giants are a bad football team. I know. I just said, take the Lions. What do you say? But the Giants are a bad football team. They fired Jason Garrett, who I guess we don't have to call coach anymore. Sorry, Jason. But they're just a mess. And they're not even going to have Daniel Jones out there. They're going to be going out there with Mike Glennon, who Mike Glennon looks like when someone gets lost in a small town in a movie and they need their car fixed by the local farm that's hundreds of miles from the nearest city. And he goes, oh, my boy actually works on cars. And then the boy walks up, looks kind of janky, has like overalls on, and you can tell like he's not great at the arithmetic. He looks like Mike Glennon. And that guy's not going into Miami and getting a win. They're not going to cover. The Dolphins blew out the Panthers last week. The week before, they blew out the Ravens. The Dolphins have played really good football lately. 4 points is not a lot. I think the Dolphins are going to blow them out the water. They're playing at home again. They really need that bye. You know, they've played 12 consecutive games, including 1 in London. Dolphins are hot right now. That defense, they're doing a lot of exotic blitzes and so forth, getting back to that Dolphins defense of last year. You see Xavier Howard making a lot of plays. Snowman, Javon Holland, back in the secondary making a lot of plays. Really, really like what you see out of Tua. Really like what you see out of the defense. And hate what you see out of the Giants. Take the Dolphins -4. Save the oceans.
Let's have a moment of silence for your hypocrisy. All right, getting into my whammy. I think we need to
every episode. Then, Doc, I cross myself up every week.
Fair enough. That's where we'll start leaving 5 seconds of silence at the end of every episode as a moment of silence for Mr. Hildebrand's hypocrisy. But anyways, my whammy here. I think we need to change the WFT to the WTF because where the heck have these freaking Washington football team players come out of?
Oh.
Yep. 3-2 in their last 5 games, beating the Panthers, the Buccaneers, and the Seahawks.
This podcast?
Yeah, absolutely.
Talk about me derailing with my hypocrisy. You just came in here when they're like 22 months into being the Washington football team, when that joke was made by Rick Riley that day, and you brought in the WTF. You looked down. For people not watching this on YouTube, Doc looked down at a sheet, and I am praying that on that sheet it doesn't say make WTF joke, pause for laugh, keep it rolling.
No, it's actually my whammy. I accidentally wrote WTF instead of WFT, so there's like a bunch of scribble marks right next to it to make it an F and a T. So I was like, oh, that's funny. I should make a joke about that. Anyways, they're in Las Vegas. I'm liking them +2.5. Vegas is a dumpster fire. They have not been playing well the last 3 weeks. Washington football team beat the Bucs, the Panthers, and the Seahawks in the last 3 weeks, riding a good high. Short week for them because they played Monday night, but I think they get healthy. That Heineke guy, Taylor Heineke, pretty good. They're playing well. I like them. I think I see them winning outright. I don't think this is a field goal game. I don't like Vegas in this situation. The Raiders are done. They're dead. Take WTF. What?
Didn't the Raiders win on Thanksgiving? Didn't they beat the Cowboys in Dallas?
Yeah, that was a weird game. They're still dead. They're still dead.
You just obliterated the poor Raiders and said they're not playing well when in front of America they beat
America. Well, I hate the Cowboys, so that's fine.
All right. And
that was an overtime game. They should have won that game anyways.
We're going to have a moment of silence for you using fake details to back up your picks.
They're lizard brain details. My lizard brain seeing through the lines.
So the Major League Baseball lockout began today. We're recording this on a Thursday, of course. And so that's good news for the Atlanta Braves because the Atlanta Braves are if I'm the Braves, I'm getting into those meetings and just starting a fire in there basically. Because guess what? Braves, defending champs. Boy, it sure would be a shame if there was no season next year and we were just still the defending champs. If I'm the Braves and I'm able to just throw the next season and we just punt it to 2023, just have hats that say 2022 champs too. Because you're still the champs. It's 2022. Big Braves.
Yeah, I mean, if it's like NFL expansion vote where they need every owner to vote in favor of, and the Braves are just holding out. Now we want that 2-year victory back to back.
Not us. Go get your vote elsewhere, Charlie.
Sorry.
You don't have to pay Freddie Freeman $180 million if no one can pay Freddie Freeman $180 million. That pocket's right here. No, that was wild as hell. You saw a bunch of deals coming through right before the lockout went down. And Freddie Freeman remains unsigned. But no one can sign him. No one can talk to him. So he's still, I guess, a Brave?
He's not a Brave.
He's not a Brave.
How about
My
that?
wife showed me a tweet that had that guy pointing to his head like, oh, now you're thinking, where it said Freddie Freeman can't sign with the Dodgers if there are no Dodgers.
It's just a massive ploy to keep Freddie in Atlanta. I love it.
Yeah, I think the Lightning had this when there was a full lockout year in the NHL where they were a champion for 2 years but only won one Stanley Cup. And, that's just efficiency. 2 for 1. Black Friday just happened.
Almost happened to the Nationals with the COVID season. Well, that season almost got canceled. They got cut in half.
Yeah, but it didn't.
I said almost. Almost is like horseshoe. It's like being close. Horseshoes and hand grenades never counts.
I'm not a big fan of internet trolls, but I do like the ones who just don't give anyone any credit for any athletic success that happened in the year 2020. It's like, yeah, that was a COVID year. Like, okay, Alabama was still a nightmare all year. And it's just like, yeah, do it in front of fans. Had 10,000 people in there. Like, okay, all right.
Same people that want to say Louisville deserves or doesn't deserve their banner.
Oh, that's one of my favorite things that the NCAA does is they go, hey, now, you were cheating, so you're no longer national champions. Like, we were national champions. Like, what are you going to do? Like, you have the Men in Black thing where you're going to erase the memories from everyone. Oh, Reggie Bush, he's not a Heisman winner. Did you see the Fresno State run? Yeah, he's the Heisman winner. That's one of the dumbest things. No one keeps track of those things unless it comes to, who has the all-time wins? Whoever looks at that? Whoever looks at that? And when they give like a coach's stats, they'll say like, he's 120, or he's 80 and 20 if you don't count the vacated wins. Like they always give that little like both records thing. And Zach, nope, no championship for you because you were bad. All right. Go to hell. Everyone remembers it. Our last story is one near and dear to Doc's heart. 1, because it involves the Iowa State Cyclones. And 2, because it involves good old-fashioned Midwestern values. Arkansas Pine Bluff. Their head coach, Solomon Bozeman, which, I'll be honest, I'm just like Rodrigo Blankenship, I'm not convinced that's a real name. That is someone who's in witness protection. Your name is Solomon Bozeman. That sounds like someone who was like an investment banker, but always said, "Hey, I want to write my first novel one day." It's going to be about a detective because everyone's first fiction novel is always for some reason about a detective, and say, "Oh, what's his name?" It was a cold, dreary day in New Orleans when Detective Solomon Bozeman knew something was afoot. That's not a real person, but
a young boy from Montana, the Bozeman area.
You're just getting Bozeman. So Solomon Bozeman did not like how his players were hustling against the Iowa State Cyclones, so he called a timeout, called them to the baseline, and made them run sprints. And I can think of, if you do that at home, you're like, come on, man, my girlfriend's up there. But you do that on the road, that's rough. That's like punished by your parents in front of your friends, because like that's like if you were acting up in the grocery store and you just get smacked by your parents and they yell at you and you're just like, you see a friend there, you're like, oh, I hope they don't tell anybody. Because these fans are giving you shit all game long. They don't care that you're Arkansas Pine Bluff. They're giving you shit all night. And then they see you get publicly admonished by your coach, like, oh, you're not going to run in the game? Guess what? You're going to run during this timeout. And Doc, you surprise me often, but I feel like I have a pretty good pulse on you that you loved this move by Coach Bozeman.
Absolutely. Your kids aren't playing, you make them run. You're not trying, you make them show effort, whether they want to or not. Perfect time to do is during a timeout. Public admonishment turns a lot of people into trying a lot harder when they get publicly admonished. And Hilton Magic, hard place to play basketball, 1. 2, I guarantee you this student section was going absolutely bananas because they had to run baseline to baseline, and Iowa State's student section, instead of being behind the scoreboard box or right there on the sideline, it's both ends of the court. So they're just running back and forth to the student section going, ha, 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 ha. Oh, man,
yeah.
These kids have nightmares. These kids are just mentally destroyed. PTSD for these kids.
You know, right when I saw this, and you sent it to me, I thought about what a young Doc Jacobson would do in that Iowa State crowd as that's going on. And I imagine there's a flask filled with 5-star Beam whiskey in it that you're just slugging it and going, run, you bleeping idiots. Idiots. And then just keep it moving.
No coughing, but yeah, actually at one game against West Virginia, there's a lot of things that I should not have ever said, and we snuck in a whole handle of Fireball. My buddy was wearing overalls and just had a handle of Fireball shoved into his pants. I'm pretty sure we were on TV just chugging a handle of Fireball in the student section.
The reason I put the coughing in there was I was imagining you got like the smell of a cup of water.
Oh yeah.
You're like, ugh, what is that?
Smell of a souvenir Coca-Cola from the girl standing next to me. What is that?
What's that doing in this arena? Come on. Think of the influence you could have. There's college kids here.
So much sugar.
That was, man, getting a nice flask into an arena or a stadium, that's top notch. Like once it hit boot weather for Ole Miss football games, they never checked boots. They don't want to see what's in your boots. But in every boot in that stadium, there was a flask of bourbon.
Nice. Heck yeah. We would do the same thing, but we would just wear overalls. Weren't really a boot college, so we would just shove it in our overalls. There's an inside pocket for non-overall wearers that are listening to this. There's an outside pocket that you put your wallet, your keys, cell phone, whatever. But then there's a tandem inside pocket. Very hard to find. You just got to, if it doesn't have it, you make your own. Iowa State ingenuity right there.
That's the most I ever anticipated overalls being discussed on this podcast. But maybe we'll introduce an occasional overall talk topic for this, and you can just go off. You can just have at it.
Overall, they're a good basketball team this year.
I'm nixing that now. You were pushing me with the WTF and the pride in your face. So if you've never met Doc, which most of our listeners have not, and if you've never watched us on YouTube, when Doc has a joke that he's stewing on when one of us are talking, or God forbid that he wrote down on a piece of paper, a smile creeps across Doc's face. And his eyes light up. In his head, Doc's going, this is going to kill. I don't know if it's going to kill just me or if it's going to kill the room, but I cannot wait to deliver this punchline. And it is the biggest telegraphed joke you will ever. It's like a pitcher is just saying, hey, here's a curveball, and then gets into his windup. That's the tell that Doc has.
I got a bad poker face. That's why I lose so much money at poker.
There was when Ole Miss played Texas one time, I brought in a whole bottle of bourbon into the stadium. I don't know how I didn't get caught with this. There was nowhere on my person to put it. It wasn't boots weather. It was, I believe, a September game. But I got that in there, and I felt fine. Like, I was like a steady level of drunk. But boy, did I sure get there. And we're passing this bottle around. And by the end of that game, Ole Miss gets murdered. I think we lose by like 35. I'm walking around the stadium, and every like elderly white man in Texas gear, I just said, "Oh my God, it's Mac Brown." And let me tell you, they got tired of that because I just kept yelling that down the concourse. "Oh my God, it's Mac Brown." So, you know, kids, if you're listening, there's ways to get into the stadium.
Just be smart. You know. Be ingenuity. Just use your ingenuity. You'll get it.
Is that what we were doing? Was being smart? That doesn't feel like what we were doing.
Yeah, depends on what side of the fence you sit on.
The candy picket fence. All right. That will do it for us tonight. Thanks as always for listening. You can check us out on Instagram at Spaghetti Junction Boys. Check us out on Twitter at SJB Atlanta. I am at SJB Michael. Doc is at SJB Doc. Check out our website, www.sjbatlanta.com. Got some cool new stuff that will be coming this month. You'll know about that as it unfolds. Thanks as always for listening, however it is that you listen, and we'll see you next week.